In this episode, we delve into the history of the Scottish Black House and the people who dwelled within them. We find out more about the history of Harris Tweed. We discover how a whale's jawbone found its way into an islander's garden. We visit a lighthouse at the most northerly point of Lewis. And much, much more. Having spent the last 4 days on Harris, we just couldn't wait to see what Lewis would have in store for us. Our first port of call was to the Shealing, just outside Arnall. A shealing house is a type of traditional structure used in Scotland. It is commonly a small hut or collection of huts used by people tending livestock in remote areas. Crofting families moved into the Shealings during the summer months while their cattle grazed the common land. As we were to soon learn, life for crofters was hard and complex and involved the whole family. Situated in Arnall itself is the wonderful Arnall Black House Museum. The museum encompasses 3 distinct types of dwellings found in the Outer Hebrides. These are the Scottish Black House, the Scottish White House, and a 1960s bungalow which houses the museum shop and a series of displays relating to the history of life in the area. Immediately outside each black house would have been a stack of straw for the animals and a pile of dried peat as a source of fuel to keep the house warm. More often than not, a Scottish Black House was divided into 2. One half was dedicated to housing the animals and the other side for the family. As you can see, the peat fire had no chimney. This served a very real purpose. As the smoke rose up to the roof, it would control and kill any insects living within the thatch. When the thatch was replaced, the old thatch would be put on the land as fertiliser, and the smoke from the fire improved the straw's fertile properties. The chairs were often low down to keep inhabitants out of the thick smoke while they ate or conversed. In the bedroom, box beds provided extra warmth during very cold periods. This shows life in a Scottish black house was very akin to how the Vikings had lived in the 8th century. On site there is also an unrestored black house, and it's still possible to walk round the remains. Scottish White House, as it's presented at Arnall, shows what a White House might have looked like in around 1955. Developed around the turn of the 19th century, they were much more light and airy than the traditional black house, but the materials from which they were constructed were often inadequate and didn't offer the same level of comfort against the harsh Hebridean weather. In keeping with the Black House theme, our next visit was to the Gearanan Black House Village and Museum. What an amazing place to visit. We learnt that the last inhabitants of the village left in the late 1960s. The village was originally due to be demolished, but was saved at the last minute and preserved and restored to the levels that you see today. The Black House at Gearanan is depicted as it might have looked in the early 1950s, just a decade or so before the original residents left for good. A real treat for me was to learn more about the Harris tweed industry, which is so synonymous with the island. When Harris tweed became popular amongst high society at around the turn of the century, the islands were struggling to meet demand. The government became aware of this and, due to the potential revenues involved, commissioned Hattersleys of Yorkshire to create a loom. The result, the Hattersley loom. Having studied textiles at university, it was a massive treat for me to learn how Yorkshire, where I was born and grew up, played a huge role in saving the tweed industry. Part of the site is now dedicated to the museum, and the other part is dedicated to fully restored black houses, which are used for holiday lets, with completely modern facilities. More information is available on the Gearanan Black House Village Museum website. A whalebone is hardly the type of thing you'd expect to find in someone's garden, but that's precisely what's happened. How did that happen, I hear you ask? Well, let's find out. So how did it get here? Well, here's how. In September of 1920, a corpse of an 80-foot-long blue whale drifted into Bragar Bay. It had a harpoon in its head, trailed by 50 feet of rope. The beach whale attracted a great deal of attention due to its size, but the issue of what to do with it soon took centre stage. Village officials contacted a whaling company to come and retrieve the body, but no one came. The corpse began to rot and the stench was so awful, with no one interested, the villagers rolled up their sleeves and dealt with it themselves. The blubber was used for oil, disinfectant, tar and medicine. It was harvested by tapping into the whale's body and filling bottles and barrels with the gloopy fat. In the autumn of 1921, a procession of 2 horses and many villagers pulled the gigantic bones onto a makeshift sledge over the rough tracks from the shore to Lakefield. The bones at the centre were too soft, so part of it was removed until the harder bone was reached, and the arch you see today was shortened considerably. The jawbone stands here at 25 feet tall and 4 tons heavy. The harpoon is suspended at the apex with a decorative droplet on top. Through the middle of each of the 2 pillars passes a hairpin band of iron which keeps the bone in position. The bones at the apex have supporting iron studs down both sides. No one knows where the whale was harpooned or by whom, but its arrival in Bragar is now the stuff of local folklore and of course pride. The arch, which has more recently been coated in fiberglass/resin for preservation purposes, has been bid upon numerous times over the century since it was raised, but it is not and never will be for sale. During our visit, we were lucky enough to meet with Murdo Morrison's daughter. She was able to tell us how proud the family still are of that remarkable event which happened just over 100 years ago. We simply cannot resist a lighthouse, and as the fog cleared, the Butt of Lewis lighthouse shone before us. The lighthouse here at the Butt of Lewis is one of over 200 that are located around Scotland's wild coastline. Operated and maintained by the Northern Lighthouse Board, they warn mariners of dangerous waters and provide safe passage. Standing 37 metres high and 52 metres above sea level, the Butt of Lewis Lighthouse is built on the most northerly point of Lewis. The lighthouse was designed and built by David Stevenson. It is constructed of brick and is unpainted. The station's claim to fame was getting into the Guinness Book of Records as the windiest spot in the United Kingdom. Little is known of the station's early days, although the first light displayed was probably fixed rather than flashing. A plaque in the light room indicates that the present equipment was installed in 1905, when the characteristics of the light was one flash every 20 seconds. In 1869, paraffin is known to have replaced the vegetable or fish oil used as the light source, and continued in use until 1976, when it was replaced by electricity. In the wilds of a winter storm, it's hard to imagine anything being able to survive in the waters around the Butt of Lewis. But these cliffs and seas are home to some truly amazing wildlife. Atlantic grey seals, gannets and fulmar and basking sharks are to name but a few. All frequent these waters. Before long, we were back on the road again. After making just a short detour, we found ourselves on one of the sweetest beaches I've ever seen. Shawbost, with its pale white sands and large pebbles, is charming indeed. It even boasts a sweet little park up with an honesty box system at a mere £10 a night. Definitely one for when we return to the Outer Hebrides again. Encouraged by the improving weather, we forged on ahead. We had some very special standing stones that we wanted to see. The Callanish stone circle is an extraordinary testament to the skills and determination of the people who lived here over 4,000 years ago. The stones were probably moved with rollers, wooden frames and brute strength. It was a tremendous investment of time and effort. The exact purpose of the stones remains a mystery. During the Neolithic period, 4000 to 2500 BC, many communities across northwest Europe constructed large monuments of stone and earth. Perhaps the building work gave people a common identity and stability, or perhaps they worshipped here. Builders of these monuments frequently orientated monuments according to astronomical events, such as the midwinter sunrise and sunset. Research at Callanish has shown that it has both astronomical and landscape alignments. Despite the ominous looking skies, we set our caps towards Uig. Interestingly, in 1830 some Norse chess pieces in ivory were unearthed, and the wooden statue by Stephen Hayward depicts this. As we wound our way to Manchester Sands, the weather turned brutal, so we kept our visit short. As you can see, the sea and sand still look very beautiful, even in the inclement weather. And before we knew it, we were leaving a wet and rainy Tarbert. Our spirits only lifted by two young, enthusiastic pipers at the ferry terminal. And that was it. On to the ferry we went, heading for the Isle of Skye. Join us in the last episode of this series as we have further adventures in the Isle of Skye and the Scottish Highlands. And if you've liked our content, please like and subscribe.